Hello, everyone. Mary Kate Soliva here with you on Veteran Voices. Thanks for joining us today as we've got a wonderful conversation teed up with a veteran, pretty badass veteran and advocate. Stay tuned for a great discussion. I'm going to just do a quick programming note before we get started. This program is part of the Supply Chain Now program, family of programming, and today's show is conducted in partnership with our friends at Vets to Industry. Shout out to Brian Arrington. And learn more about this powerful nonprofit that is serving so many folks at vetstoindustry.org. An initiative that is near and dear to my heart, the Guam Human Rights Initiative. You can find them on LinkedIn and at the University of Guam under the Regional Center for Public Policy. So without further ado, I have been waiting a while to get this guy on this podcast. So let's introduce our guest today. Our guest today works, actually, we're tag teaming buddies. I don't know what I'd do without him with the Project Management Institute. He's also a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine, and an Army veteran. So let's welcome in Matt Quick, the famous Matt Quick.
I'll tell you, I really want some intro music. I was watching wrestling this weekend, and Steve Austin, the glass breaks. That's what I want my intro music to be one day. One day.
Like the Quentin Tarantino, where you got the fire going.
Yeah, something cool.
Cars going up in there. Oh my goodness, that's just too funny. I really am. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know you're doing a million different things, volunteering as well as with what we're doing at PMI. And so just really wanted to pump this up because I know, what rank you got out at. So I know that in your leadership position, you're all about motivating young service members. So you have a motivational quote that you could start us off with today?
I actually have two, if you don't mind, Mary Kate.
No.
And the one is very old from Ben Franklin. And what that is he says, tell me and I forgot, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. That is, to me, pretty powerful, because if you're in the weeds, if you're have people involved, that's how they learn the most. My second one, it's more current. That's more for Richard Branson. Train people well enough so they can leave, but treat them well enough so they don't want to.
I love that. And where did you end up picking those quotes up? Was that something that?
So they were years ago. I think it was a book I read or something like that. But of course, Richard Branson was a very popular quote. But I used them in a job I used to have as director of people and culture, which was, those quotes were powerful back then.
I was thinking you were going to end up quoting some famous general and leading off in cadence and start doing push-ups.
If you want me to, I can do 6 push-ups.
We're going to keep on going because I don't want to have to do them with you. So we're going to go on. So I really want to take this opportunity to get to know you. I know you have a huge LinkedIn presence, but I'm sure listeners today will be really curious about where it all began for Matt Quick. So if you could take us, I don't want to say way, way back, but how back we're going here. But
it's way back.
Is it way back? But where'd you grow up? Yeah.
So I'm an 80s kid, basically. So I grew up in a small town called Rosendale, New York, and Highland, New York. That's upstate New York for the New York Cityers, downstate from your upstaters. So it's right. It's like an hour of the city. Great area, a lot of love in the family. Middle class, maybe lower middle class, maybe poor at times. I remember growing up and having. We had a supermarket next to our house, so my parents would give me some money to go get some lettuce or bread, and they gave me this money, and it was colorful money. I'm like, it's like Monopoly money. It's pretty cool. I didn't realize back then it was food stamps. No. But it was cool though. So now I own the food stamps that I used to buy bread and lettuce with. I own it because I got it from eBay one day.
You got it off eBay?
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Plug eBay in there. Wow. Where did you end up growing up, just in one place, or did you move around a lot as a kid?
I was not a military kid, so I grew up in the same county my whole life. We had 3 different houses, and my house burned down when I was like 12 years old too, so I had to deal with that. But that was a whole different story. kids can be mean, but house burns down and you have people take up donations and you go back to school and people ask for the clothes back. That's hard to deal with, but you get thick skin as a kid though.
Yeah, especially at 12 years old. And did you end up having like all your family in one place too, like your extended family too?
So my mom's side was apple farmers. They own a lot of apple farms in New York.
Oh,
So
I
that
love
was
that.
it was awesome. I would go to my grandma's house. We would just go to the apple farm right across the street, eat an apple, one bite, throw it away. One bite, throw it away. So
Oh my
wasteful, but we
gosh.
were kids
Yeah.
though. Then my dad's side of the family was more like, lower class, but were hard workers, just didn't
Right.
make any money. So there was a mix. So it was a good to have both sides or live in the middle. And I loved going to my grandma's house every weekend and getting McDonald's. That was a treat.
Now, is this the same grandma that you found money in a card recently?
Yes. And I have the card right over there. So she gave me the card. It was like that. I was like '06 or '07. I just found it last week or a week ago. So funny. She passed away in 2015. She was 84 years old, but these things happen. But I
Right.
found that. I'm like, oh, you got me. The last word is yours, Grandma.
Just hiding right underneath the card, right?
Yeah.
I love that, because I just really have that kind of closeness with my grandmother too. But even the apple orchard, that really takes me back to some of my childhood memories. One of my dearest friends her family is on an apple orchard as well, and we had one down the road, and we used to just play and just stay out there all night. It's like, never mind sleeping indoors, we just want to sleep
Oh,
out in the orchard, right,
that was
under
fun
the
stuff.
stars. The
Eating
bonfire and
apples.
everything. And eat apples. Yeah, apple butter. I mean, there's so many things you can do with an apple. But yeah, what are some of those anecdotes that you have from your childhood? Do you have any sort of lessons learned that you have from that time?
I guess resiliency is one of the big things. My house burning down, that was a tough thing, losing all my toys. I was a big wrestling
Yeah,
fan growing up, so we had these Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair figures and
right.
Big John Studd, and they were just one glob of mess after the fire. I had these sports cards, Michael Jordan '86 Fleer cards, pinned on my wall like a dummy, but they're all gone now. But resiliency as a kid. But one of the things like sports, I was big into sports. I wasn't very good. I was just big into sports. And I think it was my senior year or my junior year. I was playing basketball at a small school. We traveled for one game. I had a bad attitude. I really did. I thought I was God's gift to sports, but I was not that good. So I would try to maybe hurt people during the game for no reason at all. I had a bad attitude. So this is one of the reasons, Mary Kay, I joined the Marine Corps. My dad was a
Mhm.
Marine. My brother was a Marine. I needed the Marine Corps more than it needed me.
Wow, and I didn't know that you were a generational Marine. So you said your dad was too, but you didn't grow up in like the military lifestyle though. Was he out before
Yeah,
before you were born?
he spent about a year in the military. It wasn't for him.
Hmm.
He had a bad family life back in New York, so he had to deal with things. When you're away from your family, they
Right,
pull your string so hard. So he had to get out at a hardship. So, but we
right.
still respected his service. My brother joined,
Absolutely.
and I joined.
Hmm. That's incredible. Yeah, I didn't know that. Now I know that your kids did not join, but you said you haven't lost hope yet, right?
So I haven't learned. So I'm a fifth generation service member,
Fifth?
and I was proud of that. My grandma actually served in the Army Women Corps back in
Oh,
World
I
War
love
II.
that.
My granddad served in the Aleutian Islands in Alaska during World War II as a one of those cannon people. Lost his hearing, but I was hoping my kids would join, just one of them. But one just graduated college. So I'm talking about the Space Force right now. Just do something, man. Come on, make me proud.
It's like even the one and done, right? One contract. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean let's talk about your time in the Marine Corps, because I know I mentioned earlier in the episode that you're also an Army veteran, but I know there's a transition story there, even from going from, some people might not even call it green to green, right? Going from Marine Corps to Army, but tell us about that. What led you to join besides the family legacy?
So funny story. So I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps. I had a great time, but I was on a ship. And then when you're on a ship, you don't, back then there was no internet. So I had to go over to another ship to get an email. So what happened was I was on a ship. It was like September, and the Marine Corps cuts off their what's called boat spaces to re-enlist. And I missed out on my boat space, my opportunity to re-enlist, because I was on ship. I didn't hear about it. I would have re-enlisted immediately. So I talked to my career planner. He was a big 6'4" EOD guy, right? Just big guy. We're all scared of him. That plays in the story here shortly. So I lost my opportunity. So he comes to us. He goes, "Hey, you can't re-enlist unless you go infantry, 0311." I'm like, "Oh, hell no. I'm
No.
admin. These hands do not get the infantry life, not at all, right?" But once a Marine, always a Marine. So I actually took a helicopter from one ship to the other and emailed the commandant of the Marine Corps and laid out why I should re-enlist. I get back the next day, that 6'4" EOD guy's in my face. "What are you doing? Are you out of your mind?" I'm like, "Can I re-enlist?" "Yes, as infantry." I'm like, "I'm good, man." So when I got back off ship, it was like January of next year. I got back off ship and I went to the Army recruiter, signed some contracts, and as I was getting out of the Marine Corps, I was enlisting in the Army. It was a smooth transition.
Now, see, you had mentioned the Space Force. I know there wasn't Space Force back then, but why the Army? I mean, you're talking about like these hands. I still consider like Army a little rough and ready compared to some of the other branches.
So once you leave the Marine Corps and you do all the Marine Corps training, the Marine Corps boot camp,
right,
the field training, the Army is the easier life. So I wanted the easier life for myself and my family. So
right.
I definitely knew it was the easier life. And the Air Force wasn't taking a Marine guy. So I was like, I better go to the Army.
I know, I keep jokingly say that we take everybody over here.
It's a big force.
9 toes, you don't need all 10. What are you gonna come over here?
We're good.
So yeah, I just so we got your branches, but where did you get to go? Did you get to go anywhere exciting? Like
so in the Marine Corps, you know, we did training. I spent 45 days in Italy in the Marine Corps in
No
the
way.
field. In the field training. I'm like, what? So that was the time that Tupac died. I remember getting Sergeant Choice magazine, getting that. But listen, we had a Mediterranean float, a med float.
Oh wow.
And we went around, and I've been to Greece, I've been to Spain, rode to Spain. We went to a lot of different places, but in all my years of service, I never was stationed overseas. Never. 25 years of service, I spent probably 22 or 23 years on the East Coast. I have no idea why.
The Army. That's you join the Army. It's like people join the service to see the world, and then they end up, you know, like my job in the Army. Those guys get stuck down in North Carolina.
No,
you wouldn't call it getting
deploy.
stuck.
We deployed. I went to Sarajevo.
Yeah.
I went to Iraq. You know, we deployed, but never stationed overseas. Though I was pretty surprised and shocked the whole time.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's like I actually really appreciate it. I love the travel aspect of it, and it always blew my mind that service members would just stay on base, play video games, and never leave base. They never leave camp or wherever they're at to go out and explore, go where the locals go. You know, it's like, why go there and then go to the McDonald's? So,
because it's good. It's good
because
food.
it's good. I know. They're like, well, the McDonald's is different. They have the food that's to that area. You know.
That's right.
So I was just like, no, you got to go where the locals go. So it's just I love that aspect of the military, and the fact that we have folks that we serve with that are from different areas. So we always have a couch to bum off and, you know, somewhere to stay. But with you just mentioned about your vast experience, so I'm really curious as to maybe 1 or 2 folks that took you under their wing like earlier on in your career, and then maybe somebody, shout out for somebody later on in your career?
So early in my career, I had, and this is while I was in the Army. So I was in the Army. This was year 2 in the Army. I was assigned to the Pentagon. I was assigned
Wow.
to the Chief of Staff of the Army's office, General Shinseki. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. I'm going to my dream job. As a New Yorker, I would visit Washington, D.C. every other year, Jersey Shore the other years. I would visit every other year, and I'd dream of being in the Pentagon one day. I didn't want to join the military. I want to work in the Pentagon.
Work in the Pentagon. Wow.
So when I got an opportunity, I'm like, this is so cool. So he had a staff of like 9 people, and I was one of those. My first mentor came from that organization. His name was Chief War Officer 5, Dan Logan. Look him up. This guy is phenomenal when it comes to the Army. And this is the reason why we connect so well, because he was an older guy. I admit, I'm like, this guy wants to mentor me because he was a Marine. That's why. So he took me under his wing. He said, listen, you're a Marine. I'm a Marine. I'm an Army guy now. We're both Army. But he wanted to make me the next him. So he encouraged me to go to War Officer School. Because I was a 42 Alpha, or I was a 71 Lima back then, which was an executive administrative assistant. Again, these hands.
You're dating yourself?
Yeah, I am. I don't care. So I was a 71 Lima, and as they were merging those MOSs, he told me, he goes, listen, you can go to War Officer School. You can do a lot of different things. What do you want to do? One day I was walking on the Pentagon, and I saw this badge that I didn't know what it was. It was a career counselor badge. I'm like, Chief, I think I want to be a career counselor. He goes, let's make it happen. So as General Shinseki was leaving his office, people were getting assignments to Hawaii, assignments to MEPS. I want to be a career counselor. So they signed the paperwork off. I didn't do like retention NCO duty, and people hated me for that. But I got into school, and then I made a name for myself by creating the Army Reenlistment website, creating an Army Reenlistment app. I would make a name for myself, all because Chief War Officer 5, Dan Logan, inspired me to do something more than just what I was doing right now. I loved it.
Well, that's incredible. I didn't know that was like your foundational story for the app development too, right? Of just creating like all stuff like career related kind of thing.
I'm a big old nerd, Mary Kate. I've always, people say, I want to take care of people. I say, how? Because I've done it my whole career. How do you do it? You got to find your niche. But the Army didn't have a retention website. I'm like, this is 2004. Why don't you have a website? Well, we don't want to invest money. Well, I'll build it myself. Now, my first try.
Yeah, I'd like to see what that looked like.
Hey, if you go to a website called the Wayback Machine, you can go to any website and go back, and they'll show you what it was like. It was garbage.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was my creation, though.
I was like, for our viewers that can't see your face, he just like perked up, puffed his chest out. He's very proud of that. Heck yeah. So that's hilarious. Well, I really love that aspect, because now I'm starting to piece together all the things about that launched you, because you still do that now. 100%.
I still lead the team, Army Reenlistment team. I've got 3 or 4 volunteers now do a wonderful job. I'm more hands off. I'm more of the face, if you call it that, but I give guidance and mentorship, and they do all the work.
Well, that sounds like a smart thinking, working smarter, not harder. But I really, because of the amount of time that you spent in uniform on active duty, both branches, do you have anybody else that sticks out sort of like later in your career that was there's somebody, or was it more so you giving out all that advice?
No. Listen, we don't do this by ourselves, Mary Kate. So
100%.
So when I was a career counselor, I was told to apply to be an instructor at the schoolhouse, which is a great job. So I applied to be an instructor at the schoolhouse. The schoolhouse says, hey, Sergeant Quick, you may want to also consider working at what's called Forces Command Retention Operations in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm like, that's a high level job. I'm not very smart. They just thought I was smart because of things I was doing. So I applied for both jobs at the urging of my leadership. and I got both jobs. I'm like, now I got to pick. So training the future of our field was cool, but the operations job, I can do a lot of operations and train too. So I chose to go to FORSCOM retention, and I met Sergeant Major Marty Boyd Gray there. So she is phenomenal. She was the first female to be the 2ID retention sergeant major, the first female to be Fort Benning's sergeant major for retention. So she was like, she's actually in the Hall of Fame right now for recruiting retention. So she was very inspirational in my career. She propelled me to the next career. She was very into fitness though. We worked out every day and we ate right too. One day on my office, and I didn't think she was there because we got there early. So I'm there snacking on like these donuts, these mini donuts. She come in there, she goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, whoa, I didn't think you're here. She snatched this out of my mouth and threw it in the trash. She goes, "That's not who you are."
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'd like to meet her.
Fast forward, like 8 years, and I was in her position.
And you still worked out every day?
No, not really. Donuts mostly. But I created a retention leadership award and named it after her. And it's still there today.
That's incredible. Did you create all the criteria to earn it as well?
Well, me and my operations team, Sonny Lizarraga and William Schaffhauser, we created the metrics, all this, but I named it after her. It's called the Retention Excellence Award in Leadership, the real award. That's right. I can do acronyms.
Okay, now this is really all piecing together. I feel like to avoid going down rabbit holes of private jokes here, but I was like, this makes total sense now. You are like the acronym
You're welcome.
king. Thank you. Yeah, so I mean, you're absolutely right. You can't do this alone. And you went through different transitions throughout your military career, which I think is important to highlight as well. And along the way, you had folks that they built immediate rapport with you based on and that's what I love, is because of how diverse we are. We all come from different walks of life, different parts of the country, around the world, and then we bring something different to the team. But when you have that one thing, like again, Marines, you just got to be a Marine, and they all flock together.
Semper Fi.
Semper Fi, yeah. See, sometimes I feel like I don't even have the right to say that, but I see the S / F, and I'm like, oh, I can't use that. But yeah, I love that aspect. We go through those transitions. We can't do it alone. We need to either seek out that mentorship, or, be that good mentor, that great leader, and turn around, lean back, and pull up the ones coming behind you. So I love active learning. I feel like I'm an active learner, pride myself on that, and continuously learning from probably dozens of mentors that I still have now. But I really want to talk about your transition, because you went through multiple transitions throughout your career, but you also went through the big one, retiring.
Yep.
And you're still not like fully retired. Obviously, you still had to find a way to enter that into the private sector. So walk us through a little bit about what that looked like for you.
So military transition can be easy or it can be hard. We choose by how we plan for it. Here's mine. So when I graduated the Sergeant Major Academy in 2014, actually in the academy, I started networking, and I started paying down debt, because I knew the end was near. Whether it was 5 years, 10 years, the end was near. I can't stay forever. So I graduated the academy and went to Fort Drum, Climbing to Glory in New York. And I started paying down all my debt. We had a conversation, my wife and I, about how we can do this. So we did that. So when it comes to transition, I woke up one day. So I transitioned 3 years after Fort Drum. I was at FORSCOM retention, working at probably the second highest level in the Army when it comes to retention. The other one's in the Pentagon. I didn't want the job. I get down here, give them great 3 years. One day I woke up, and now my wife's mom passed away while we were in Fort Drum. Her dad was dying now while I was at Fort Bragg and FORSCOM. My nephew was dying 2 hours away from me. I woke up one day, I'm like, "Hey, Jen, I think I'm done." what? I plan on doing 30 years. I'm at 24
Mm.
and a half years now. I said, I'm done. I can't give 100% anymore. I'm burnt out. And I've never said it before. I'm burnt out. So I went to my leadership, which is the SMA right now, Grinson. I went to him and said, listen, I'm done retiring. He gave me a great spiel on finances, all this stuff that I was doing, but he gave me better opportunities. And he goes, how much time do you need? I'm like, I need 2 months. I'm done. I'm walking away. So I didn't take my year. I was
Oh,
done
wow.
working in two
Or
months.
2 years.
5 months, I was out of the military. I was done. And this is where my second mentor comes in. He was my command sergeant major in the old guard, Jeff
Mm.
Stitzel. I feared him there because, listen, I wasn't on his level. But now I reached out to him because he was transition. He had a good transition. I said, hey, what do I do? I've got 2 months. He goes, do X, Y, and Z. Don't think about it. Just do it. I come back next week. He goes, here's 3 more things. Do these things now. Come back. That's what it was. It was more of me reacting to what he was telling me because I trusted him. That's what it was. So I paid down debt. I've been networking for years. He got me in Mike Quinn's Master of LinkedIn class. I learned LinkedIn in a matter of 2 months. And then I joined Mike Quinn building higher military. But these things all come from networking and having mentors that we trust. They're not
Absolutely.
just relationships we build off the cuff. They're built over years. So that, for me, transition was easy for one reason only. I didn't have debt. That was big for me.
Well, and you also mentioned Jen, which, how many years has it been? I know you celebrated
25 years now.
25 years. I know, that's why I wanted you to say it out loud, because I love
25
that
years.
it is possible. I think people think like being in the military that we all end up in divorce or whatnot, but that you're just a
And
testimony
we're still
of
in
all the
love.
trials and
I
tribulations.
don't know how she does it.
And goodness, and she's still like so young and good, and y'all are out there doing 5Ks and golf cart competitions,
Half marathons now.
half
Crazy.
marathons. Yeah, y'all are crushing it. That's why I like to say hashtag power couple, the quick team. But I really appreciate you sharing that aspect of your transition, because not only is it difficult for those who, for at any point, whether you've done one contract, you're in 3 or 4 years or whatnot, or whether you did a whole entire career, 20, 30 years. But I actually found that, in my opinion, I think it's the ones that have been in longer that are having the harder time, that need to start earlier, the 2-year mark. If not, like you said, you're trying to prepare that at least to pay off that debt, knowing that it was coming, it was inevitable that you were going to step out of uniform at some point. But folks aren't thinking like that. I talk to so many service members, and how many veterans you and I talk to every week who are like, I'm getting out in next month
With
and I
no
haven't started
plan.
anything, with no plan. No, they don't even know what they want to do, what industry they want to work for. I'm like, name your dream company. Some of them can't even do that. So we just understand that it takes time, and a big part of that is not only in paying off your debt and getting your family situated financially, but developing the rapport. Because even for asking for letters of recommendation, or just being able to honestly say that I had been supporting this organization, volunteering, or I knew so and so for 2 years, was what meant something. They were ready to reach out, put their name out there for me to get a job. And I know we can give Corey Burton a shout out for finding us off the corner.
She is phenomenal, and she's a recruiter that doesn't take no for an answer.
Yeah, one recruiter that she just really understands where to place people, almost like Harry Potter's magical sorting hat.
That's
the
true.
Harry Potter fans out there don't. I was like probably not saying it right, but she just really knows how to properly place people and what will work for them. And that's the folks that you want in your circle, in your network, to build rapport with and to get to know you. So I know, again, you're doing so many different things. When you got burnt out, was there that sense of, what's my purpose going to be? What am I going to do now? How did you handle that?
So when I was going through a military transition, I saw how difficult it could be for many people. This is why I chose to stay in this space, to educate, to share my experiences, and to talk to more people, get their experiences, learn from them, and share them as well. I didn't get my first paying job until I was out of the military for 10 months. I
Oh,
didn't need to
wow.
work because I was good financially.
Right.
I never had the pressure to work. So we built a small company that's pretty big now, higher military, to hopefully educate those that come after us, because now we are the mentors. I'm not sure how long my shelf life is for this career transition space, but that's why I moved from just military transition to career transition, because now I've got a lot of experience. I've been laid off twice in the past 2 years now. COVID, underperforming jobs when it comes to getting revenue. I've learned a lot, so I can use that experience to better educate and push people in the right directions that they want to go to. So career coach is what I am. So I can talk about resumes, I can talk about X, Y, and Z, and this is now my passion, or my why, or more
Right.
specifically, my who, Mary Kate.
Oh, your who. That's an interesting ad there. So,
My
and
who is those people in military transition and career transition now.
and I love that, because I know it's not for, I know it's not for everyone. And some folks will say that, why enter the transition space to help service members after the fact if you are still going through your transition. But I I really am of the belief, I feel like a quarter of my mentors were folks that were still transitioning, but it was nice to know that they were going through it with me, and that my struggles or my bad days, that I could call them up and they could talk to me about how they got through their bad day, and connect me with folks in their network. Because I, as those, even those who start last minute, they still end up starting with one person in their network, and that person introduces them to someone else. And I can't tell you how many introductory emails I have written. I even wrote one earlier today, just connecting two other veterans who I felt like needed to get to know each other based on what they're working on. So that's what it's all about. And I love that we're both in this space. And I love that you continue giving back. And I really want to take this time to talk about some of the nonprofit work that you're doing. I know you do some in the transition space, but I know you even started an organization. I'd love to hear more about that.
So before that, one of the reasons why I give back to military transitions, we don't charge money. I don't get paid for this.
Right.
The military pays me well not to work for the rest of my life. I feel that I can give back a little bit of my time to those people, the organization that's given me and my family so much. That's why I
That's
give
true.
back. So, America, you and I met at one of my now nonprofits that I work with, which was Suiting Warriors. That
Mhm.
one was, we gave suits away to people in military transition, and not just men, but females as well, because everyone needs a good suit to feel comfortable, feel powerful, feel good, look good. You do good. So that's since disbanded because we just couldn't upkeep it. But I did find, well, with my sister-in-law, we founded Dylan Quick Foundation. And this was, my nephew was dying of cancer. Well, he spent 5 years battling. So when he was in his last day or so, my sister-in-law had a conversation with my brother. Would he mind if we created a foundation in his honor to give back, to make sure his name isn't forgotten? So we created that, and that's been 3.5 years now that we run that, do softball tournaments. We're trying to do a kickball tournament. An award from his school is handed out every year in his name. We give scholarships away. And this is a small but powerful nonprofit. It's based out of New Bern, North Carolina, on the East Coast, and it's
Mhm.
doing great work. It's a hard one to talk about because it's my brother's son that passed away,
Mhm.
but my sister-in-law needed this to get through what she was going through at the time. So I'm glad we started this thing, and we maintain it today.
I love that. And thank you so much for sharing that. And definitely would keep Dylan's name alive and going. And I think what a wonderful way to keep his memory and legacy alive. And what I really captured from that too, not only with getting your sister through that time and your family, but the community support that you got as well. Like you
They're
said, the
huge.
school got involved and you have softball tournaments. So I just love the idea that the community really gathered around to support your family.
New Bern High School now gives out an annual award called the Spirit of the Bear, which the New Bern Bears is what they are. And it's now the Dylan Quick Spirit of the Bear Award. So every year, and this isn't the top academic person. This is the person with the best character. There's so many metrics to go into this, but you don't have to be smart or be the best in sports. You can get an award too, and we love that.
Oh, I really love that a lot. And so that's just something, again, with when you have the community, I think was just like the common theme throughout what you're saying is just really having support and surrounding yourself with the right people that are going to have your back during the good times and the bad
Oh, and one
times.
thing about the
Yeah.
foundation, Mary Kay, I forgot
Yeah.
about this.
Can't
So
forget that, Matt.
so he passed away in Greenville, North Carolina, the Children's Hospital.
Mm.
So every year now, for the past, well, since 2019, we have donations set up around New Bern for toys. So there's like 18 toy drops. It doesn't rival the Marine Corps Toys for Tots at all. This is a very small one, but we deliver a U-Haul full of toys to the Children's Hospital the week before Christmas because he was given so much at the hospital. It's our way of giving back. So I wear like a Christmas sport coat. I have one from my brother now. So we do that. So we're kind of like Santa's elves delivering toys there before Christmas. So that is a big hit.
Gosh.
And that's one of the things that we love giving back with.
How wonderful is that? And I really love that it's the family too. So you got the community, but you also have your family getting involved as well. And I'm trying to picture you throw on the beard. Have you tried growing out your beard? You know, you
I
can
tried.
now.
I tried for a month. I hated it. My wife hated it. It looks dumb, so I'm not going to do it again.
It looks like you're still rocking the military clean cut here. I feel like again, it's like once a Marine, always a Marine.
That's right.
So, but in any as far as advice goes that you have for folks that maybe sort of stuck in a rut and they're trying to figure out how to find their purpose, get going, get motivated, get involved.
So yeah, I talk to people every day, and everyone seems to want to shoot for the Amazons, the Walmarts, the Microsofts, the Apples, the Teslas now. Sometimes you have to, I'm not saying lower yourself. I'm saying shoot for a small or medium-sized company because these companies, for me, my first job out of the military was 10 months after I retired. My mentor and I built this job for me. You know, small and medium companies can create jobs for you if they see the value. So they saw my value. They hired me to a director of people and culture to oversee their recruiting, to oversee their training and development, to look at that. I was let go at 6 months because of COVID. I get that, but
Right.
the whole world changed. But shoot for a small company that's looking to grow or a medium company looking to grow. The Chamber of Commerce has this information. Talk to your mentors. And some people, I had a conversation today that someone that I went to the academy with says, hey, how can I be a motivational speaker? So I Googled real quickly, got an Indeed article, sent him his way, and now he's on the track to be a motivational speaker. Yes, that's an actual paying job, but you got to put the work into it. But again, you're paying off your debt frees you up from from having to work. You can do whatever you want, but you got to build your brand. Who is Matt Quick? Who is Mary Kate Soliva? Who are these people? You've got to figure out what you want to do, who you want to do it for, and just go after it.
That's gosh. I almost had lost for words because I was like having a quick reflection on my own transition there. But coming full circle with that, you hit all the points about what I think that we went through during our own transition and sometimes still going through. But that financial freedom is so huge because it's just freedom to be able to have that ability for sometimes not even just the service member, but your spouse, for your family, your spouse is to be able to take a step back and actually pursue. Maybe they had a gap in work experience. Now they're trying to get back in it. Like you said, COVID changed everything, the world changed. And so being able to think about what really matters in life and what kind of difference, what kind of impact we want to make. And a lot of that I find we can start just in our local communities. I talked, like you mentioned, about with the Amazons and the Teslas, like even just folks, that veterans who are wanting to start their own business, they're wanting to aim so high, so fast, and they grow so big and they lose control. But it's like, if you can start just even volunteering, just start with your local community. Your problem doesn't have to be trying to solve the world problem, but even just like you mentioned, just in your town, getting the local pizza place involved and run a softball tournament, it just, those kind of changes can really make a difference.
That's absolutely right. And I didn't even mention, if I talk to those every day, I forgot to talk about upskilling and reskilling through training.
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing now? That's what you're talking about. What are you doing now, Matt?
So what I do now is I work with Project Management Institute, and one of the reasons why I joined them is because they have a great brand. They have so much opportunities for growth. They have it's coaching, training. It's great, but I see a lot of our military transitioners that want to be or think they are project managers. So I'm like, well, how can we figure this out? So I found this program called Kickoff. So I tell everybody about it. If you go to pmi.org/kickoff, you can figure out, it's a free course. You don't got to pay anything, but it's a free course that walks you through the basics of project management. And the cool thing about it is I can earn 2 digital badges, Mary Kate, for my LinkedIn profile. That's free stuff right there. So, I mean, it's, for me, I learn a little differently. I learn in small bite-sized content. And that's what this thing does. Small stuff, because I'm not a fast learner. Small things, no long lectures. I absorb the lessons. And there's 2 methodologies, agile and waterfall. The military is more waterfall because like, oh, just one thing. But agile is like, oh, change makers this. So if you're listening, please go to pmi.org/kickoff. Simple stuff. Take the course, figure out if you're a project manager or not.
Yeah, free and 45 minutes. I mean, you can't really do that over lunch.
It took me about an hour, Mary Kate.
An hour? There's no time limit.
I'm a slow learner.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna start pushing out as an hour. But I mean, yeah, one of the big things, I know we mentioned Corey, one of the things that really drew me to PMI was just the amount of support that we have within the organization, just the advocacy bucket, as some of our colleagues say, just being able to give back and you and I being able to do what we're doing now, giving back to the military veteran community. I know it's like we speak to numerous spouses all the time, to their families, about how to utilize this. I spoke to one that, she's a social worker and she's trying to pivot, wants to pursue project management. I've spoken to people who are entrepreneurs or who have started their own nonprofit organizations, but they're very interested in just a plethora of different things with upskilling. So again, to go back to that active learner thing, it's never too late to start. And just being, especially from the military veteran community, of the numerous resources that you have available to get things for free or get support and funding and time. A lot of it is just taking your time, taking the time to find out what you want to do and staying committed, sticking with it till you finish.
That kickoff course can really teach you how to do that too. And what's good about it is not, and I talked about careers also, PMI is hiring a lot too. And people are like, well, I'm not a project manager yet. We hire way more non-project managers than project managers. Absolutely. So don't think that, oh, I can't do that. Hey, just Talk to your mentors, figure out what's out there, because we don't know what we don't know. Just have the conversations, talk to your mentors. You'll figure out what it is you want to do and what you can do.
And there's nothing to say that you can't do it while you're still in uniform before you enter your transition window.
Yes.
Right?
Way before.
Way before. Nothing to say that you can't upskill and learn and just try out new things. I'm a huge proponent of volunteering your time, because if you volunteer, you not only learn skills outside of your military job, but you also get an opportunity to network and to learn other skills, to grow, get that experience. And so, I mean, and of course, it's just for the greater good. I mean, it's like a different type of feeling to be able to see the impact that you're making on other people. And just by giving back. So that's why
Absolutely.
I love about Veteran Voices. Matt, how do people get a hold of you if they don't already know your name already, as you're a LinkedIn celebrity? So I know
Listen,
out there, but
not very many people know who Matt Quick is yet, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. But listen, I'm primarily on LinkedIn. If you just search LinkedIn, Matt Quick. Now, if you Google my name, you may find my link, but you won't see this face. This face is only available for those people on LinkedIn with an account. That's my settings. Sorry, everybody.
fresh clean haircut.
Yeah, but get on LinkedIn, just search Matt Quick. You'll see me. I got a banner for coaching, and my tagline is I coach people through a career transition. You'll find me easy. Reach out, connect, or follow. Doesn't matter to me. But learn how to use LinkedIn. Learn how to network. Build network out. Your network becomes very, very valuable to you.
Thank you. Fantastic advice. Did I leave anything out? Anything else you wanted to add? Got your plugs in there? I
That
feel
was
like
a
as soon as
lot
I
of
close
stuff.
it out, you're going to say, I have another story to tell. But for real, all our listeners today, reach out, connect with Matt Quick. Matt, well, he has a plethora of experience and way more stories than we had time to share today. But reach out to him on behalf of the entire team here at Veteran Voices. We invite you to find us and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. A big thanks to Brian Arrington and our partners at Vets to Industry. And this is Mary Kate Soliva wishing you all a fantastic, wonderful day wherever you are. Get home safe, stay motivated, do good, give forward, and be the change that's needed. And on that note, we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.